Well, hello, vinyl community people. It's Mike MGK Boston back with another video. It's been a little while. So what I'm going to do today, like I do once in a while, I'm going to do one of my playlist videos. This would be episode number 6 in a series I call Playlist. Basically, all it is just stuff I've been listening to. I just kind of purposely set it aside in a separate pile, and I'm always writing a log of what I've been listening to in my notebook as I do. And so it's this today will be a combination of that. And earlier this week, I stopped at a local shop on the way home from work, and I did a couple of pickups. So I'll highlight those as we get to it. But yeah, about a dozen records today. But first off, I wanted to show it's not VCLT. Well, I suppose it is VCLT to me because I collect postcards, and this is from my man JT over at JT's Record Room, the man from Reno, Nevada. And this is from the city of Pattaya, Thailand. You can see there's a nice shot of the coast. So he was over there with his wife and son. His wife, of course, is from Thailand, and they do own a home over there as well. And I don't know if it's in Pattaya. I think it is. But anyway, yeah, they were over there for a couple of weeks, and he just posted a really cool video of his shopping experiences in Japan. And I think there's going to be a part 2 where he's going to show shops in Thailand. Be looking forward to that one. So that's JT's Record Room. If you don't already know JT, get over there and check it out. Maybe even subscribe to it, to his channel, that is. So he says, hello, Mike, enjoying our home in Thailand and Japan was amazing. JT. So thank you, JT, for that. Anybody, any of you other fans out there of MGK Boston, please reach out to me if you're traveling. I've been collecting these things since I was a child. I've got a lot of them, and I kind of rotate them. You can see here's some right around the door jamb behind me. I rotate them regularly. When I get tired of looking at one particular set, I take them down and put up some more. But yeah, I probably have a couple thousand postcards, and I do like getting them in the mail. That's always been a thing for me since I was a kid, and nobody does this anymore except me, it feels like. So yeah, send me a postcard. So thank you again, JT. So off we go with the playlist. This guy named Ottmar Liebert, originally from Germany, later emigrated to the United States, lived in Boston for a while, as the story goes, and he tried it out as a career as a rock guy doing some indie stuff, but that didn't pan out. But he's a brilliant guitar player, and he's a flamenco guitar player to boot. So that's where he went in a musical direction, and this is called Borrasca. This is his second album, follow-up to his first one, which was called Nouveau Flamenco. I also have that, but I didn't listen to it, so it's not on this playlist. So, but I did listen to Borrasca. So yeah, I bought this, man, when it came out. I was living in Toronto at the time, and I remember I went into Sam the Record Man, which is a huge store. Any of my Canadian friends know it. And this was playing, and I'd never heard it before. And this was kind of a beginning of a bit of a love affair, if you will. Not to be too dramatic, but I really like flamenco music, and I have quite a bit of it in my collection. I've never shown any of it before, so this is the first for MGK Boston. It's a 3-piece band. There he is, Ottmar Liebert at the top, and bass player. And the other instrument here, I'm not sure what the other guy plays. Probably percussion. Yeah, it's drums, percussion, and palmas. So that's in the credits, and you see it's just not much on the higher octave label. So it's Borrasca. Isla del Sol, I-S-L-A del Sol, D-E-L-S-O-L, kicks this off, and it's truly representative of the rest of the album. So if you wanted to look up a song by Ottmar Liebert, Isla del Sol, I'm butchering that with my pronunciation, that would be a good starting point. But that's Ottmar Liebert and his band Luna Negra, as it says right here, and it's Borrasca. So my friend over at All the World's a Stage, Steve, and so he's been cranking out the videos just like it's an assembly line over there in Chicagoland, and I just love saying that. So he did show his favorite, I think it might have been 50 debut albums from the 1970s. And on that list, I should start with was this album by Jethro Tull, their debut. It's called This Was. See there on the back. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this. So it inspired me to pick this one out of the pile, out of my collection, and throw it on the turntable. I got this in a collection I got from a work colleague a couple of years ago. And I've only listened to it twice, and I was just kind of And then I got thinking about it when Steve showed that first Jethro Tull album. God, I'm tongue-tied today. I'm not hooked on phonics, clearly. So Mick Abrams played guitar on that first Tull album, and he was a traditional, you know, blues rock guy. I wouldn't compare him to Peter Green. He didn't have that kind of chops, but you know, that kind of sound. And I think the two of them, they just couldn't keep it together. They wanted to take things in two different directions. So Abrahams was out and was only on that debut for Jethro Tull, and struck out on his own. Did this solo album, and then he launched his own band called Bloodwind Pig. I have a Best of Bloodwind Pig on CD, and I couldn't find it, so I'm not showing that today. But again, I didn't listen to Bloodwind Pig in the past couple of weeks. I did listen to Mick Abrahams' debut, and that's what I'm holding here. So Steve, you asked me what this one was like, and I think I dropped a comment that I said it was average blues rock, and I take that back. It's actually quite a bit better than that. There's his band right there. Key track on this one for me is a track called Awake. Clocks in at around 8 minutes, 49 seconds. And Seasons, that's a nice jam on side 2. And that's in at 15:02 right there, Seasons. So yeah, great guitar player, Mick Abrahams. And again, this is his solo debut, 1971, right after that Jethro Tull album. All right, coming in here with some blues, coming in hot. Yeah, we're back in Chicagoland. It's Son Seals. This is his 4th studio album on the Alligator record label. Really outstanding, traditional Chicago blues style player. If you like that kind of thing, check out Son Seals. And again, this one right here, of course, it's called Chicago Fire. Chicago, getting a theme today going with the Windy City. There's right there, and there's the band on the back. There's Son right there. So yeah, on this one, probably the highlight on this one is closes out the album with an Albert King cover, and that's called Nobody Wants a Loser. That's really good. It's a fast tempo number on here rather. And a couple others, Landlord at My Door and Leaving Home is another good one on this one. And of course, he opens up side B again from Chicago. He's the gentleman from the Windy City, and there he is. It's Son Seals, Chicago Fire. All right, and again with my friend Steve, giving him lots of shout outs today because he's been working hard. And he did a Canada week. I mean, man, he's a little early. Canada Day is July 1st. We'll have to get together and party for that. Have a virtual, a Zoom party or something for that one. So anyway, he did, I think, mention at some point Frank Marino, but I can't remember. Again, I've been watching so many videos, I lose track sometimes. But Frank Marino, legendary guitar player, originally from Montreal, and this was in 1977. It's a live album. Recorded all over the southern U.S. actually here. Different venues, doesn't really matter here. But this could have easily made a double LP, and that's what they wanted to do, but the record label didn't apparently, so there was some good stuff left out, but there's also some good stuff here left in. Does a great cover of Johnny B. Good. There's a brilliant version of Jimi Hendrix' Purple Haze on here. Of course, Hendrix was a huge influence on him. And an original, of course, by Frank Marino on here, and that's Dragonfly. That's a really excellent Frank Marino song. And his band, of course, was called Mahogany Rush. He's a bit of a prodigy. He did his first album when he was only 16 or 17 years old. Again, from Montreal. You can see right there, and they were on Columbia. Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush. I do love a good live set, and this is no exception. I've had this for a very long time. I bought this new when I was a teenager. Used to get played a lot on classic rock radio up in Canada. Frank Marino did anyway. And this Mahogany Rush live. All right, and we're flipping around here with the styles, genres, whatever you want to call them, but it's different types of music. A little reggae now, a little reggae action with Third World. I'm a big fan of Third World. I think I just showed the debut. I picked that up at that record show I was at in January. And again, today, yeah, that shop I did where I stopped on the way home the other night, that's the first record shop, and I really did. And I was only in and out of the store for 20 minutes. But I'll get to those pickups in a minute. But what I was trying to say was I've been digging deep into my collection since that record show in January, and just kind of I'm taking some stuff out I'm going to get rid of and sell, just some stuff that I'm not listening to anymore, and I just have to do it for space. I start going through Discogs, and I'm like, I am not listening to that anymore. I have to get rid of it. So making out with the old and in with the new to me, if you will. So again, this is Third World's 7th studio release, and again, it's called Rock the World, if you will. That's the name of it. And the title track, of course, Rock the World, that's a good one. Standing in the Rain, And they do a really good track on here called Dub Music. If you like reggae style music with the dub beat, that's a good one. It's D-U-B-B, they spell it, excuse me, Dub Music. And that's a track on this Third World album. There's the guys on the back again, and on the front. On the back, they're just dancing around, and on the front, they're getting down to business with their actual instruments. Let's see here. Oh, there's a nice photo of the band I knew on the inside. And there's the lyrics. Another band on Columbia. Frisbee. There it is. Third World, rock the world. Right on. All right. All right, so one more reggae. It's a big reggae night. Actually, I picked this one up the other night. Like I said at the shop, I picked up three new to me albums. And of course, this is another reggae act called Burning Spear. And this is a live set. It's really good. Marcus Garvey, if you're a reggae fan, you probably heard that before. And they do a great live version of Slavery Days on this. And Throw Down Your Arms closes it all out. It's really good. Big band, Third World, 9-piece outfit. There they are on the back. Little water damage in the corner here, but there was no other damage to the record itself. And there they are on Island. That's Burning Spear. Get that around here. Oh, twist my arm. Live. So this guy, interesting stuff here. So this is one I picked up the other day. I just saw the cover and I thought, this looks neat. And like I do when I'm in the store, my go-to is usually allmusic.com. That's been my point of reference probably since the internet was invented. And I'll look it up and say, hey, what's this all about? Well, it turns out this guy was a session player all through the 60s. And he wrote a lot of music as well. He played on Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde. He played with Simon and Garfunkel. And he wrote a couple of songs too. The most famous one he wrote, oh my God. Yeah, he wrote Hush for Deep Purple. It was eventually picked up by Deep Purple, but that was penned by Joe South. This is his second solo record that he put out. 1968, the release date on this one, Don't It Make You Want to Go Home. And when I heard the song, I'm like, hey, I kind of remember that from when I was a kid on AM radio. But there's some other kind of far out stuff on here. There's a track on here called A Million Miles Away, and it borderlines on psych. It's just weird newsreel playing in the background and kind of psychedelic. It's kind of far out, but this is a very listenable record. Only a couple of bucks, and it was in excellent condition. Another hit he had on here was Walk a Mile in My Shoes. You would probably know that if you were a child of the 70s like I was. And that came back to me too. I'm like, yeah, I know Walk a Mile in My Shoes. I know that song. And it's a good one too. So yeah, and he did, like I said, write songs for other people. And he wrote Rose Garden. Here's a little classic country and western for you. A little bouffant hairdo going on. This is Lynn Anderson. Of course, this is called Rose Garden. This is a really good record. I haven't listened to this one in a while. She does a couple of covers on here. Just 2 Chris Christopherson songs on this one, For the Good Times and Sunday Morning Coming Down. They're both really great. She's a great singer. Don't know about that hair, but she could sing. And again, this is late 60s easily on this one. Or not, no, it had to be after that because Christopherson hadn't written those tracks yet. This is about 1970, 71, I'd say. So this is, again, Lynn Anderson, Rose Garden. That song written again by this guy right here. It's Joe South. Right on. That was a good find. Very enjoyable. Sometimes the best finds, only a couple of bucks, you get it home. It's like, hey, that's really good. And that's I love a good deal, right? Here's another one here. I was sifting through the bins and I was like, holy moly, this is a far out cover. Sometimes the cover just grabs you. There's a lot going on here. It looks like this guy's sitting out here having a dump in an outhouse. And he's got this hot chick out front. She's actually the lead singer. Gail McCormick is her name. Really, really excellent singer. This kind of plays like blue-eyed soul music with a touch of psych to it, if you will. Great band. I mean, this guy here looks like he was a sideman in the Byrds. He's got the frilled jacket on, and this guy forgot his shoes. I mean, there's just so much going on this. And the band's name is Smith. Couldn't think of a more generic name, right? Not to be confused with Morrissey and the Smiths. This was, of course, much earlier than that. I want to say the release date on this one, 1969. I think I'm right on that. And this record is simply called A Group Called Smith. So again, I looked it up on AllMusic when I was in the store, and it sounded like, the description was like, wow, I might dig this. And I got it home, and it's all covers, and it's really great. They do a great version of Let's Get Together. That's originally done by the Youngbloods, but they give a real psych vibe to it. It's really, really good. I Just Want to Make Love to You. That's its original blues number. Later, Foghat did a version of I Just Want to Make Love to You, and that's probably one you're more familiar with. But that's not a Foghat original. Again, I don't know who originally did that. And they do a version of Let's Spend the Night Together Here by the Rolling Stones. That's also really good. I've never seen this record before. And a friend of mine here that lives out in Metro West, he also is a collector, and he's like, hey, are you getting into some psych? And I'm like, I don't know, this I may be, you know, going down that road. Not that I have a bit of psych stuff in my collection, but yeah, I'm really digging this, and I've played this already 3 times, and I just got this Monday. And let's take a look here. You can see on the back, there's another shot, and there she is right there. What a looker too, eh? Total smoke show. It's Gail McCormick. Residing in the Where Are They Now file is Gail McCormick. She could be deceased by now. It's an Atco promo on the inside. And they were on that Dunhill thing. I think that was just a subsidiary of Atco. But yeah, really, if you ever see this record, grab it. It's really good. I'd even call this essential. I really like it. Probably one of the best records I've picked up this year, actually. Not to drone on and on, but when accolades are due, they're due, and that one deserves accolades. Shown this one before. I'm a big Steve Forbert guy. I was thinking of Steve Forbert because he played in Cambridge here in Massachusetts recently, but the venue is pretty small and they still had all these COVID rules. I'm like, I am not paying to go to a show and sitting there wearing a mask. I mean, that time is come and gone. I get it. But yeah, I couldn't deal. So I didn't go. I was kind of bummed because it was a small venue. Probably only holds about 250, if that capacity. So it would have been a nice intimate venue to see Steve. He's a great singer-songwriter. And this is his debut, of course, Alive on Arrival from 1978. Going down to Laurel. Steve Forbert's Midsummer Night's Toast is another one on here that's great. And of course, Grand Central Station, March 18th, 1977. That's a long song name, but it's a good one. So yeah, there he is on the back with his guitar. Great. Steve Forbert. Little 80s alternative. This guy from Liverpool, Pete Wiley, was in a band called Wah, spelled W-A-H. Always with the exclamation mark after Wah. I was a pretty big fan. This is a 12-inch single for a song he did called Sinful. It's got 2 versions of that and an extra track on the B-side that's not very good, but Sinful's a really good song. Kind of new wave, pop-y-ish, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to describe. You'd almost have to look it up, play it for yourself. He's a friend of Ian McCulloch. They had a band together as a trio briefly. Ian McCulloch, of course, from Echo and the Bunnymen. And again, this is Pete Wiley. It's a 12-inch single. 1986, the release on this one. There it is, Sinful. And there's just his eyes. Nothing else on the inside here, I don't believe. This is just a 12-inch, like I said. Yeah, I don't even know this label. I like these old indie labels. Like I've said, this is some label here called Mom Records or Eternal. I'm not sure the name, but either Eternal or Mom Records. Kind of an interesting logo there. So anyway, that's Pete Wiley, 12-inch single, Sinful. Thing with the 12-inch singles, you're constantly getting up out of your chair. But a couple weeks ago, I was getting a little nostalgic, and like I do about the 80s, it was my time. And so I pulled out a couple of these. And this is, again, the band that Pete Wiley was in. And they only did one full length, and it's called A Word to the Wise Guy. And I have a copy of that on CD, but I didn't listen to it, so it's not in this playlist. I just listened to these 2 12-inch singles. And of course, this is version of Come Back on this one. Oh, there it is, Come Back right there. There's 2 versions, a Come Back and the version of the Story of the Reds on side 2, or the B-side. And again, he's from Liverpool, England right there, signed by Pete Wiley right there. So yeah, 12-inch singles mixes for the price of a 7-inch single. Yeah, I was a big 12-inch single guy in the 80s. I've got a ton of them. So this is one that totally flew under the radar for me, and I'm a pretty big Sammy Hagar fan. This came out right after he'd done a ton of solo albums because he was in Montrose, and he split from Ronnie Montrose and the gang in 76, and then did his own solo thing and had a ton of output up to this point. And this one, 1984 was the release date on this one. And this is a super group. So what caught me here was, look at this lineup. You got Sammy Hagar, Neil Schon, What's this Aronson guy's name? I can't think of his first name. Let's take a closer look. I know he was a session bass player, played for Billy Idol, played with Joan Jett, among others. Kenny Aronson's the guy's name right there. But yeah, and of course, Michael Shreve was in the original lineup of Santana. So Michael Shreve, when you watch the version of Soul Sacrifice that they played at Woodstock, he was only 20 years old. I think he might have been the youngest performer at Woodstock, but you could call me wrong on that, but I think I'm pretty darn close. And it's funny here, when you look at Shreve playing drums at Woodstock, he almost looks the same here, but it's funny, they've 80s these guys up, if you will, their fashion. Like this dude, this Aronson guy, I mean, that look he's got going on there, and there they are on stage. So this is apparently a live album, but I put it on and I played it all the way through, and you only actually hear the crowd on the final track called My Hometown. There they are in action right there on the stage. Again, I keep forgetting that guy's first name. It's Kenny Aronson. There he is right down there in the corner. And there's Michael Shreve. I mean, I swear to God, whatever he was doing at the time, he did not age in those. That's like 14, 15 years since Woodstock. It looks like the same guy. Isn't that odd? But good on him. And of course, there's Neil. And Neil Schon at one point was also in Santana before his days in Journey. So it's funny on this record, this is a super group, and it was a one-off. There again, I just love that picture. So yeah, Neil Schon really gets to show his guitar chops on this. It's almost like he thinks he's in Whitesnake on this album. He's just really ripping it up. And song on here, it would have been sort of it might have got airplay at the time. In my mind, I never heard it on the radio, but it would have been a perfect fit as a song called Missing You. It's really awesome. And they do sort of an average version of Procol Harum's Whiter Shade of Pale on this. And Top of the Rock opens it up. It's great. Valley of the Kings and Giza, reference to the city in Egypt. And yeah, of course, the name of this album, Through the Fire, right here. Really, really kick-ass album. I love it. This is a really good find. Again, I'd never heard of it before. Terrible name. How would you say this acronym? HASAS or just HSAS? They should have come up with something a little more inventive, but I think this was thrown together in a hurry. But it certainly doesn't sound like it was thrown together in a hurry. It sounds like these guys have been playing together for a long time. It is tight. So if you ever see this out there, Through the Fire, highly, highly recommend it. It's excellent. It plays like a bit like a Sammy Hagar, just right before. It's Sammy Hagar right before Van Halen, and it sounds like that, but it's almost a little heavier at certain points. It's really great. So anyway, yeah, I'm a huge Sammy Hagar fan. We could have that debate all day long, Hagar versus Roth. I'm going to say it, and you can call me out in the comments, but I think he's a better singer. And I don't think he's the showman that Roth was, but I could go on all day about that. They both have their high points, and I've got all the early Van Halen stuff too. I really like it. I'm not slamming it. I just really like Sammy Hagar as a vocalist. I just think he's really outstanding, and he's still doing it in his 70s. So, you know, hope the rest of us could do so well in our 70s, right? Then this one here, yeah, so just Cheap Trick. Hadn't listened to this in a while. I know my friend Gary over there at Physical Format Rock and Roll, he's a big fan. And my friend Matthew Street, he's the king of power pop on his channel over there. He loves Cheap Trick. And I like him too. I bought this in middle school. I've had this a long time, this record. And there's a reason it's never left my collection, because it's just really good. And it's live at Budokan. You've seen it a million times in the vinyl community. I don't need to go over the history of it. And you know all these songs. Ain't That a Shame? Surrender, of course. Yeah, I mean, they're all here. It's great. Bun E. Carlos. I love that name. I don't know why he always inserted his middle initial. Bun Carlos would have sufficed. Anyway, I'm digressing here. So that's it for today, folks. That's some new finds, a couple there. Again, that HSAS thing with Sammy Hagar. I look for that, and that band Smith. It's just excellent. A couple of really good finds. You don't know in these used shops you go in. Sometimes I was kind of in the mood after work, coming home on my commute, and I popped in, and I just got lucky and got those few records. So anyway, folks, heading into the weekend. Hope you're having a good one, whatever you're doing. I'm helping my wife Patty have a yard sale tomorrow. I'm really dreading it. She likes to do this once a year. Nothing like starting your Saturday morning with strange people lurking on your front yard, right? But I'm doing it. The things we do for love, right? So anyway, folks, again, have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.